Hey, fourth graders, so you've made it. We are on our last day of school, and historically, the fourth grade always has a celebration the last day. We spend months learning about the Oregon Trail, and to celebrate, we have Pioneer Day. Well, unfortunately, we have this virus and quarantine going on, so we can't be there together to celebrate today. But what we can do is bring some of the activities to you in your home. So Miss Shadig and myself have made a couple videos that show the different activities that we would be doing if we were there with you at school. One of those activities is a really fun one, and it's one that you can put to good use. So when the pioneers were crossing the trail, one thing they had to bring with them and account for was food. They were gone for months at a time. So the food that they brought had to be food that could be either self-sustaining, things that they could find along the trail, or things that they could make. One of those things would have been butter. In fact, the pioneers often talk about in their diaries and in their journals about the butter that they were able to make and different ways they did make it. Now, one story I did hear, and I'm not sure how valid it is that they would put the cream in a bucket, hang the bucket on the wagon, and by the end of the day, there would be butter in the bucket because of the bouncing up and down that the bucket would have done, and it would have mixed the butter. I'm not so sure about that. I'd have to do a little more research, but it's kind of an interesting story. So let me show you how we're going to do it. Since we don't have a wagon, we're going to do it by hand. So the first thing you're going to need is a jar. A small one is best. If you get one that's too big, there's not enough space in it to easily create the butter. So a smaller jar, make sure it has a tight fitting lid. The one thing we don't want to happen is when you start making butter is for cream to go all over the kitchen. The adults in your house won't be very happy. So once you find a jar, this is an old jam jar, but like a baby food jar would work, or something small, small condiment out of your refrigerator. And please ask before you take. You're going to put about an inch is what the directions say. My jar is a tiny bit smaller, so I may not go as much of an inch. But you're going to fill it up, and if you can see, it's kind of hard to see on the camera there, I don't want it to go all the way to the top. I want some air in the jar because I want the cream to be able to kind of bounce around in there and get air into it. That, between the fat in the cream and the air, those two combined with the shaking is what turns it into butter. Now, one thing you might want to do before you start shaking, and this would be personal preference, is you might want to put a couple pinches of salt in. You can buy unsalted butter. Some people like it, some people don't. You usually use it for baking when you add your own salt. So if you want to add salt, I would do it now before I begin shaking. So the other thing, I know you can't see really well, but I'm working over a sink. I would suggest you do the same, especially if you're not sure that your lid's on really tight. So I have my lid on really tight. I might even want to have a grown-up or somebody double check it. Stand over your sink, and you're going to start shaking. You actually will probably need to shake this for up to 10 minutes. So if you have somebody else in your house with you, you might want to have them do this with you because it's going to take a while, okay? Because my glass is clear, I can kind of tell what's going on in there. It's going to get really foamy at first, then it'll start to get thicker and thicker and thicker. Pretty soon, it's going to feel like it's not moving around much at all. That's when it's turning into butter. I want to show you what it looks like when it's done because I'm not going to stand here and shake for 10 minutes, sorry. It's kind of this creamy color, and I know you can't tell well on the video, but it's not as yellow as the butter we buy in the store. It's actually a little more, it looks almost like a thick mayonnaise. So it is butter. Go ahead and taste it when you're done. It should taste great. Try it on a piece of toast or on some crackers and share it with your family. The other thing it goes really well with are the Johnny cakes that you're going to make. That recipe will be in another video. I hope you enjoy doing this. It's a lot of fun. It's something you can make often. Anyway, have a good time. Happy Pioneer Day. Take care.